I'm Andrew Kent-Marvick. This is my artist's statement. All of my own art is led by one central idea. What if modern art, that is, Western abstract art, wasn't modern? I've been very fortunate in my artistic life. My parents took me to museums of art early and often. By age 7, I felt at ease in the Louvre. The Met was a second home. I ran up and down the spiral galleries of the Guggenheim as if it were a playground. When I was a kid, I remember wondering whether the early Florentine Renaissance painter Piero della Francesca and the early 20th century Dutch neoplasticist painter Piet Mondrian weren't actually the same artist. Later, this childhood notion got me to wondering, what if modern art, as we know it, didn't begin a bit before or after the 1900s? What if instead abstraction and non-objective art had begun much, much earlier, at the beginning of the Renaissance, in fact, say around 1400? Now, we all know that Western abstract art, modern art, had its beginnings in the years leading up to the start of the 20th century in Europe. This has always seemed to me a strange fact, because artists, even the strict realists, or the best of them anyway, aren't simply trying to mimic the appearance of objects in the world around them. Rather, they are trying to convey their own personal viewpoint. In other words, they want us to see how they see. And this presupposes that individual vision differs from the visible facts. Mark Rothko once made this point by cleverly turning the term illusionistic art, a term we often use to describe realistic art, against itself. We abstract artists, he said, are for flat forms because they destroy illusion and reveal truth. We can understand Rothko's point, but I deplore the hostile, oppositional dichotomy that his choice of words implies. My personal response to art, to all art, has been to seek its meaning through its form. This has meant that, for example, Modigliani had a great deal to say about Raphael, and vice versa. In the 1520s, Michelangelo had many of the same stylistic concerns that Picasso had in the 1920s. Maybe they shared some of the same human concerns, too. So, for that matter, did the German Renaissance artist Hieronymus Bosch and the Russo-German expressionist Wassily Kandinsky, even though Bosch was a true painter of objects, while Kandinsky once infamously said, "Objects damage pictures." The French Baroque in 1630 seems to me not very different from the German Bauhaus of 1930. I still feel that Ingres, a staunchly conservative classical realist painter in 1862, was as clear in expressing himself as Picasso was in 1932. To me, the vision of Utamaro in 1795 is not very far from that of Utrillo in 1935. And I wonder, couldn't the Persian master Reza Abbasi, painting in 1602, have inspired Charles and Ray Ames's Los Angeles designs in 1962? So for years now, when I paint, I begin with the language of form, then place it in the context of time. My paintings are a way of reconstructing the history of modern Western art as if it were, in fact, the history of Western art. Maybe a few of my examples are a bit of a stretch. Nevertheless, these and countless other artists all speak the same language of form to me. Only the idiom varies. The paintings I've contributed to the present exhibition form part of my personal imaginary art history. They are my way of keeping the legacy of our visual cultural past alive. I hope you find a moment as you walk through these pristine, impeccable modern galleries to visit my dusty, crumbling catalogue of curiosities and to wonder with me, what if?